video on something that I just want to have a quick faff around with. Well, I say quick. I've never done a quick video in my life. Let's just get that out of the way. So, I did a dish which was, it's a German inspired dish. I can't remember the name of it, and even if I could, my pronunciation would be terrible. It's basically a cheaper cut of beef, sliced, then battered out thin with a rolling pin, and then you brush on a little mustard and some cooked onions, and then roll it up and slow braise it in the oven in a stock. And I was kind of thinking, yes, it was very nice. I really enjoyed it, and the people I cooked it for really enjoyed it. It's for a German lady's 100th birthday. Don't get many of those, do you? People getting to 100 years old. Well, you do, but you don't tend to know lots of them. So, first person I've ever met who got to 100 years old. So I was kind of thinking that was very nice, but could we do it cheaper, and could we do it with mince instead of battered out beef? So obviously the mince might want to kind of like fall to bits a little bit. So I'm doing something else, and this is basically a meatball recipe. The ratios of breadcrumbs to egg to meat without the cheese. So it's, I can't remember, what is it? It's for every kilo of meat there is 100 grams of bread rolls and 1 egg. I think that's right. And then what I've done also is it's 800. It was 800 grams minced beef, and it was 800 grams, and it was 200 grams bacon, cheap cooking bacon, to add a little bit of flavour and fat to it. So that's the mixture that is, and I've just rolled it out. So it's about 150 grams. I've just rolled it out flat. So I haven't got any mustard in the house, but I do have a little bit of mustard powder, which I've just mixed with a bit of water and vinegar. So that will do the part of the mustard, I hope. So let's just spread that on like that. Does it need a bit more? Maybe. Dried mustard's a little bit stronger than bought mustard. I did have some in the fridge, but I took it to work. Anyway, so, and then some onions, which I've cooked down, which were left over from the proper dish, but I've just stuck them in the freezer just to kind of make sure. And then we're going to roll it up like a roulade. Is it rouladen or something like that? The German pronunciation, I don't think it is pronounced like that, but anyway, so let's roll it up. It'll come away from the baking parchment, that's fine. So let's roll it up like that, and then pinch the ends so we don't lose too much of the filling, and then just seal that a little bit better, and then we'll slow braise this. I've got the oven on anyway, so let's just slow braise it in the oven at the same time as we're doing something else, and then into an oven-proof dish like that. So that seems to work okay. Let's do the other one, and then we can kind of get an idea of how we do it. I've made a mess of it already. Sometimes just giving it a pat out first just makes it a little bit easier, because as you saw when I pressed on the round, it kind of went down to the centre, which is not what we want. So if we just battered it down a little bit first, like this. Now I don't think so. Yeah, this would be part of my limited budget, limited ingredients type of thing. We could do it with just bacon mince. I think that would work, but I've got this mixture, which I'm doing something else. So this is what we're using, but I can't see why just not using a cheap bacon and then mincing it up would not get the same kind of effect. This mustard works with fork, doesn't it? And onions work with fork as well. So Same process again. And then I just made up a stock making with some. You probably need more than that. Let's get my finger in there. Just enough. Yeah, and then I've made up a stock with some, my choice of stock cubes, which is OXO cubes. I find them much better than other beef stock cubes. And just a bit of tomato puree, which is just something that was always taught to do, just a little bit of tomato puree or some tomatoes or some passata in with your stock, just improves its flavour. It'll be that umami hit, won't it? So, onions, I won't waste those onions, they can go in with the cooking liquid around the outside. Don't want to overfill it, and I don't want a lump in one lump and then to roll the beef around it. I want it spread out and then we can roll it up. Which way did we do that? I can't remember. That way, don't we? Now, because it's got some egg and some breadcrumbs in, hopefully it'll keep together as we're slowly braising it and it won't break to bits as it cooks. Not like that. I'll just do that. I think this will work. So, pinch that slightly and then cooking side down. So we've got two. I think that one's going to split open already. Anyway, so just a simple beef stock made with OXO cubes. Well, it's not beef stock, is it? It's quite rich, is that? Oh, that's going to be strong, not to worry. And then we'll cook those onions in as well, because I haven't got another use for them, so they might as well go into the gravy. And I didn't want to overfill them, and I don't want to waste them. So we'll just fill it in there like that. So cover that into the oven, 150 degrees Celsius, not Fahrenheit. I'm sure you're all capable of converting. Because if you're watching this on a computer, you've got the use of a search engine, haven't you? So, cover in a bit of foil, into the oven, hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that, and we'll see how they turn out. It's had about 2 hours, maybe a little bit more. And then it's also, I got to turn the oven off when I went swimming, so it's had a cool down of an hour and a half, but probably stayed warm. And now I've just turned the heat up now and back home. So, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Oop, I'm going to spill it all over myself. Oven off, because I'm sure it's ready. Ooh, they look good. They look good, don't they? So, let's get a fork. Okay, done with a little bit more liquid. They haven't split open, that's good. Smell good. They smell good. There's lots of onions in that, which is slightly concerning. But not to worry. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's turn it out. Let's turn it out onto the. We'll turn the smaller one out. We'll turn it out onto the foil, and then I can keep the plate clean, and then I can take a picture when it's on the plate. Oh, I've made some polenta as well. I made a video about it. My polenta's always a little bit lumpy, so I decided to change my method of how I cook polenta stroke cornmeal. So if we put it on down like that. So is it tender? Certainly tender. How the filling kept in the centre though. So fingers crossed, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Oh, there we go. Look at that. We've got one. We've got the nice. I'll bring it up to the camera. Bring it up to the camera. We've got a nice spiral in the centre of that. Look. But then I was thinking while I was swimming, and I did a Italian dish. I forgot what it's called. To be honest, I wouldn't know how to pronounce it anyway. I have trouble with my own language, let alone anyone else's. And it's so you take a meatball recipe and kind of roll the meatball mixture out flat, and then put cheese and things on, and then roll it up and then bake it in the oven. And it's this lovely meatball, cheesy kind of roulade type of thing, and it's delicious. So not that dissimilar from that, even though I didn't put any cheese into the meat mixture, and there's no cheese in the centre. But you could do that. You could do that. It's just that I had onions, and I wanted to kind of see how this German dish was. So got into it. I think it would be nice. I can't imagine that it won't be. That's delicious. That's lovely, is that? I wouldn't have never thought something just quite as simple as that would be just quite as nice as that. So, you know, I'd like to be able to get away with serving that at a function. If someone ever wanted a really cheap function, and it was just a case of just do as a cheap function, and I kind of said to them, well, I'll do your cheap function, but it's going to be a case of you get what you give, you get what you get, and there's no kind of like complaining about it. I'd served them that, and I think it was lovely. So it's kind of like a meatloaf type of thing, but a little bit more fancy because it's stuffed. But that kind of, but we could fancy it up all you kind of like want. So we could. I suppose not that dissimilar to brajol. So with brajol is rolled up, battered out meat rolled up with breadcrumbs and parsley and a little bit of cheese. So we could do exactly the same with that, but we're using not a meatball recipe, but like a meatloaf recipe type of thing. And I suppose that's what it is. Someone will have done this before. I'm not kind of like the first person, but I think herbs in there would be nice. Some cheese in there would be nice. I don't think it needs breadcrumbs, but the onions. So you could do onions, herbs, and a bit of hard Italian cheese, something like that. Not something too melty, otherwise it will just want to come out of the sides. But I think something like a hard Italian cheese would kind of work very well. But that's lovely, is that? That's lovely, is that? And if I can, at some point, use it on a menu for a function, I will. I don't know. So the problem is, I really like cheap peasant dishes. You know, so food that really poor people ate out of necessity and have turned into something really kind of quite nice. The only problem is when you serve that to people, they just look at the cheap ingredients and think that you're ripping them off. They don't. Sort of story. I once did a function. They ordered sausage and mash and onion gravy for the main course. One person came into the kitchen and complained and said they didn't think sausage and mash was appropriate for that function. And I kind of said to them, well, it's not me who picks the menus. You know, you need to speak to the person who picks the menus. And he said, I just don't think it was appropriate. Sausages are cheap, you know. But it's not as if I was charging them lots of money and then serving them cheap sausages. You know, I was charging them. It was a cheap function, and they got sausages. So, but then I said, oh, so you didn't enjoy the sausage and mash and onion gravy? And he says, no. He said, I'm not saying that I didn't enjoy it. He said, I ate it. He said, but it was very nice. He said, but I don't think it was suitable for the function. And that's the way a lot of people think. They, unless you're a bit of a foodie, you're not going to want to go out for a function and get dressed up that you think you've paid, you know, reasonable money for, to be served something that's essentially a peasant dish, no matter how tasty it is. So, but anyway, I think that's delicious. So, I'll do the recipe. I'll put it in the description. Serve it on mashed potatoes would be lovely. Serve it on a bit of polenta, lovely. Type of thing that we can add to. So you can make a big version, like a longer version. So you could like the whole size of the chopping board rolled out of the mixture, and then spread with nice, interesting things, and then rolled up, so you get like a big meatloaf, or individual ones like that, and then you can just serve them to people. Yeah, I think that's lovely. I think that's a success. I think we could. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, actually, I'll do it again, and I'll do it with. I'll get some bacon, some cheap bacon, and I'll mince the bacon, and we'll do it again, and we'll cook it in a tomato sauce. So instead of having beef mince in it, it'll just be like bacon mince with an egg and some breadcrumbs, and then some onions going through it. And we'll do it individuals, and we'll do it like a bigger one as well. See how it kind of like goes out. We might put a bit of cheese in, but we'll cook it in a tomato sauce, so it's more. I always kind of think like things like bacon need a tomato-based sauce, whereas beef or pork mince, you can get away with a gravy type of sauce. But if we're going to do bacon, it needs to be a bacon mince. We need to do a tomato-based kind of sauce. But I think that'll be kind of quite nice. But that'll be another video, and it might be the next video after that. But I think that'll be nice. But anyway, that's delicious. That's success. I'm very proud of myself. And now I'm going to make a pig of myself.